series of fireside chats from the AusIMM's Health and Safety Society. Our societies are really active and involved this year in presenting the International Mine Health and Safety Conference. And one of the key speakers and key people involved in this conference is Sally North, who I'm fortunate to be on a call with now. So Sally's Commissioner for WorkSafe in Western Australia. That's a really key government role and with a lot of responsibilities and a lot of potential to influence the industry. And she's hoping to be a key part of the conference goal, which is to walk out with an eye to reducing our 3.4 fatalities per 100,000 workers. So look, Sally, I'll jump off my soapbox and let you jump on and maybe give us a bit of a background, your sort of career journey to here, and then a little bit of who you are and what you're hoping to achieve from the conference. So, Sally, please.
Thanks so much, Peter. It's a pleasure to be involved in the conference. And as you said, such an important opportunity for people to walk away with actions that they can take to really reduce critical risks in their workplace. And I hope that people do attend with that in mind, that'll be a great opportunity. As far as my background goes, I've been in work health and safety for a long time. I've actually been an inspector with WorkSafe for many years. I've been with the department for over 20 years. I've been in inspectorate roles and leadership roles. I've got a science background originally and also have studied occupational hygiene and toxicology as well. I guess driving work health and safety improvements across all sectors is a passion of mine and something I'm really, go to work every day to achieve.
Yeah, no, so what's been a good buzz in recent times then, Sally? Have you made any sort of step change improvements, things that you're particularly proud of?
I think for Western Australia broadly, it was a huge piece of work, that I was just one of the minor contributors to in terms of getting work health and safety harmonisation in place and bringing all industries in Western Australia under a single Work Health and Safety Act. And that's been the biggest step change in recent times. It's modernised how we look at safety and it's really refreshed attention. So people's attention is now back on work health and safety and people have taken a fresh look. So that's been our biggest recent opportunity.
Yeah, no, certainly when I talk to people who are in the West, there's a lot of people who were talking about the change in regs and sort of reaching out to other states who have adopted similar, because it is, and I'm right in my thinking, it's largely a performance-based legislation rather than a prescriptive-based. So it does put a lot more onus back on you as someone in a company to actually prove that you know what you're all about, what your industry is all about, what your hazards are, and what controls you need to have in place. So it's a step change in thinking, but it's powerful when done well.
It is risk-based. I think, though, behind that is that there's a lot of information out there about what causes harm. We're talking today about the mining sector, and there's a lot of information about common hazards that over time have shown to be repeat hazards in that sector. That's been one of our focuses. What are those repeat hazards? How can we get higher reliability in effective controls around those repeat hazards, particularly those critical risks that can cause serious or fatal harm? Because you talked about how can we drive change and reduce the rate of fatalities. I think that one of those things is about that reliability. People have a control in place. Maybe it's working a lot of the time, but to get a step change, it has to be working really to a high level. What's in place around things like verification of those controls? How effective is that? What are those systems around that? And I feel like that's one of the things that we can look to help us get to that next step.
Yeah, it's powerful because, look, sadly, and you look at the recent fatalities that have occurred, look, we're not finding out new ways to kill people, but it's still absolutely wrong that it's continuing to happen. Like, we know what we need to do. We need better focus. And really, I'm hoping what the conference can do is get such a broad brains trust together, get everyone on board. And for me, this conference is going to be more about how do we have everyone who attends walk away with a personal mission as to what am I individually going to change, what am I going to do to influence this outcome, and then more important to have a commitment partner who they're absolutely make a sort of connection with at the conference, as well as other people that they're connecting with at the conference, but to use that accountability partner to actually hold them to account as we go out from the conference and start to be that pebble that starts rolling down the hill and starts the avalanche of change and improvements that we can see. There's lots of people are going to turn up with good ideas about the approach to take. And what we want is for everyone to latch on to the best of what can be done and continually improve. Like no one's perfect. And as soon as you think you are, that's when you're certain to not be, because there's lots of people with great systems, but if you don't have the knowledge that you're doing what you said you were doing, you really have got nothing apart from a pile of paper. So it's powerful when you get it right.
I love that idea of an accountability partner. I think that'll be really effective. We're all, we're all pressed for different priorities in our working lives, and to say, okay, there's something key here that I can take away and work on, even if it's around doing a deeper dive into one critical risk at your workplace, around how are we going with that, what looks like it's working or not working, that in itself could be really impactful.
Yeah, actually, that's a powerful way to think about it, is saying, because you don't have to commit to fix the planet, that's too big a do. But so long as you can say, well, look, I'm in this space in my organisation, I can do these things to make a difference. And that's for all organisations, not just about saying the operators need to. Our researchers and academics and thinkers, like what can we do to investigate and understand these things more clearly and articulate that knowledge? As regulators, what can be done to set up the environment for success out there, rather than and then I mean, a lot of people get nervous when they're talking with the regulator, and that for the academics it's publish or perish, and some are saying that for the regulator it's becoming prosecute or perish, and I'd like to think that that wasn't the case in either field, but it's a perception that we need to make sure is not realised. There's certainly need to do both publish and prosecute, but it needs to be part of building a better whole, not as seen as an end in and of itself, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we've got a big focus on education and engagement. It's a huge part of what we do, and we know that we reach more people through that mechanism than through our other mechanisms. So it's a really important balance as part of what we do as a regulator. But we also don't shy away from our other work, our inspection, compliance action, and what is a really small proportion of cases, there is still prosecution, and that is part of the equation for us as a regulator.
Yeah, no, and rightly so. With like otherwise you're a large animal with no teeth, and that's someone who can be ignored, and that's certainly not what you want to see. So I won't go any further with those analogies, because now I've thought about it, that's actually horrible. I'm sorry I said it, but just to look back and sort of help bring us into land on this discussion, because it's really about a piece that we can use to inform people who are thinking about coming along to the conference. You're actually going to walk away with so much value that the time you take out, whatever it takes for you to get there and be involved, is going to be well worth the effort, time and expense, because I think this, to me, it feels like this could be the start of a really important and major change in how we as an industry operate. And certainly everyone needs to be involved and adding value. So I've jumped back on the soapbox again, haven't I, Sally? Look, I will just quickly turn to, if there's one piece, like if there's one thing you think that people in the industry and people who attend the conference need to understand and implement better, what sort of would pop into your mind and be the message that you would like to see us sort of amplify? Because at the moment we're still forming up how the conference is going to work, and certainly your message will be important and that you can bring, but just to sort of talk about things that we as a conference organising group could think about, what in your mind is going to be like a real important piece in that puzzle?
I think for me, and as you've touched on earlier, a lot of the hazards and the serious harms are caused by hazards that we do have a pretty strong understanding about. So for me, I think a key point is about improved reliability of controls. We have controls for those hazards in industry. We consult people. We've got systems in place. How do we level up existing controls to significantly high standards of reliability? And how do we develop really strong feedback loops around that reliability so that we get those early signals if our reliability is degraded or not where we want it to be, and we can take action? I feel like that's an opportunity for people to level up the outcomes and reduce harm.
So that's such a powerful message for us to end on. Like, when you walk away from this conference, you're going to understand what your key controls are, or what they should be, and how you're going to get a handle on, are we doing this each and every time it's required? So that's part of what people will benefit from by coming along and getting involved in the conference. And it's an involvement piece. It's not an attend and soak it up. It's your voice is actively being sought as you come along. So Sally, look, thanks again so much for your time in joining us for this webinar. And look, I think I'll wrap it up at that. Thanks everyone for your attention and time and joining Sally and I on this fireside chat. And look forward to comments and feedback as we post this on the socials. Sally, thanks.
Most welcome, Peter. Thank you.